You know, let's be honest for a second. The banking system, it feels like it's from another century, right? Well, that's because it is. But what if we didn't just try to patch it up? What if we started over, completely from scratch? That's what we're doing today. We're going to take the whole system apart, right down to the studs.
So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to absolutely shatter the core myths we all kind of believe about banking. Then, we'll run a full-on audit of the system's incredible inefficiency. After that, we'll look at the fundamental choice we're all facing. And finally, we'll see how to build a brand new system using technology that's already here right now.
All right, to really get to the bottom of this, we're going to use what's called a first principles approach. It just means we forget everything we've been told and ask the most basic, most fundamental question possible. And this is it. This is the question that changes everything. Because as soon as you ask it, the assumptions holding up the entire banking industry just start to crumble. And you know which one goes first? The biggest one of all, safety.
We're all taught to think our money is just sitting there in a vault, with our name on it. But the reality, it's very different. The second you deposit that money, it's not legally your property anymore. What you've really done is make an unsecured loan to the bank. You are an unsecured creditor to what is essentially a highly leveraged investment fund that can, and absolutely does, lose money.
And we've all seen just how quickly that illusion of safety can just poof, disappear. A bank run used to be this slow-motion thing you'd see in old movies, with people lining up down the block. Not anymore. Now it happens at the speed of Twitter. $42 billion fled Silicon Valley Bank in a single day. That proved once and for all that bank safety is a belief system, not a mathematical certainty.
Okay, so the next myth is this idea that interest is some kind of reward for being a good saver. From a first principles view, it's not a reward at all. It's the tiny fraction of the profit your money actually earned that the bank decides to give back to you after they've taken the vast, vast majority for themselves. And this chart just lays it all out plain as day. A bank can take your money, buy a US Treasury, one of the safest assets on planet Earth, and earn over 5%. Then they turn right around and pay you less than 0.5%. That huge gap, that spread, that's not profit for providing a valuable service. No, that's the price of inertia and inefficiency. And that brings us to the final core myth, the idea that we need a bank as a trusted middleman. Look, for centuries, that was true. We needed a central party to keep the ledger and make sure nobody cheated. But that problem, it's been solved. Technology now gives us a shared public ledger that anyone can check and no one can corrupt. The trusted intermediary is now just an intermediary.
So let's move on and actually quantify this stuff. We can literally measure the enormous waste that's baked into the system. Think of it like we're calculating the cost of just doing things the way they've always been done. And we can do this with a tool I like to call the ID10T index. It's a simple, but it's a brutal formula. You just take the price we all pay for something, and you divide it by the absolute bare minimum cost to get it done, based on physics and modern tech. It tells you exactly how inefficient a system really is. Now, what's really fascinating is seeing this in action. So let's run the numbers on something super common, like sending money overseas. First thing, the commercial price, the fee you pay right at the counter, and this is before any of the other hidden charges, is about 45 bucks. That's our starting number. But what are you actually doing? You're sending a tiny packet of data from one computer to another. The real physical cost of sending that data on an open network is about a penny, 1 cent. So you do the math, $45 divided by 1 cent. The ID10T score is 4,500. That is a 450,000% markup. You are not paying for cutting-edge technology, you're paying the salaries of thousands of people to operate a system that was built in the 1970s. And this problem is just everywhere. Credit card swipes charge a percentage of the total when the data cost is a fixed, flat 5 cents. In closing a mortgage, it takes 45 days of paperwork for a process that could be automated down to 45 seconds. The inefficiency scores are just astronomical. So all of this massive inefficiency gap, it forces a decision. We are at a fork in the road, and there are really only 2 ways forward for the world of finance. Path A is what most fintech companies do. They build a beautiful, slick app that just sits on top of the same rusty 1970s financial rails. It's lipstick on a pig. Path B is that first principles approach we talked about. You rebuild the entire system from the ground up on new rails, and you just delete the parts that are no longer necessary.
So what does Path B actually look like? I mean, what does it mean to build a new financial stack that replaces expensive, slow human trust with cheap, instant mathematical verification?
Well, it's a 3-layer system, and every single piece of it exists today. Layer 1 is the vault, a hardware wallet that puts you, and only you, in control of your assets. Layer 2 is the currency, a programmable dollar that moves anywhere in the world in seconds. And Layer 3 is the yield, giving you direct access to what your capital actually earns on the open market.
And when you put these two systems head to head, the numbers just speak for themselves. A transfer that costs $45 and takes 2 days becomes a penny and takes 5 seconds. A savings yield of less than 0.5% becomes over 5%. This isn't a marginal improvement, it's a total phase change in efficiency.
Honestly, this is the best way to think about it. The banking industry is selling you a slow, expensive, proprietary communication tool, a fax machine, in a world that has already moved on to a cheap, instant open protocol, email. Their entire business model is based on convincing you that the fax machine is still somehow necessary. And so here's the most crucial point. This change isn't happening because of new laws or regulations. The legacy system is ending because it is becoming obsolete. A superior technology has emerged. You can keep paying for the fax machine, or you can start using email. The physics are clear, the math is verifiable, and the choice, well, the choice is yours.